So after Red Bull's 2024 car launch, we now have all 10 liveries for the 2024 F1 season, and today I'm going to be ranking them in this nice tier list I made. So starting off with the car that was first released, which is the Haas, I'm putting this in C. It is shit. I hate the white, I hate the black front nose, and it is just overall filled with sponsors and just in general very, very ugly. I really don't like this approach they've taken with recent liveries of being this like red, white and black. I much prefer their 2018 car, which I suppose was also red, white and black, but in such a better way. It wasn't just jam-packed with sponsors. Also their 2019 car, when they had Rich Energy as their like title sponsor, that car was incredibly nice to look at. And then 2020 was alright, but then 2021 is where it really started going downhill, and now we're left with this heap of junk. Now, of course, these teams are trying to save weight with cutting paint off their car. If you don't know, I don't actually know if it's true, but if I read it correctly, taking off half of the car's paint can get you about 10 seconds of lap time throughout a race distance. So it is incredibly useful to remove paint off your car. However, just stop being weird, put paint on, make it look sick, don't be a weirdo, do you know what I mean? Now the next car to get released, I believe was the Stake F1 team. I am sort of guessing here. Honestly, it is the same concept of having the black nose. However, I'm going to move it one tier up purely because of the green. I don't know why, but I mean, green is my favorite color. But that shade of green specifically is just so unbelievably nice. I don't really know what it is. I also like how the number is also green. And rather than being like, you see like the Haas, you know, it's red, but it's got white on the wing. There's white on the front nose. Not right now, driver booster, piss off. Yeah, so you see like it's got like white here. There's red, white, black, white, red, white, red. There's no sort of thing. It's just random. Whereas the Stake car, it's just green and black. It's simple and it looks great. I realised that made absolutely no sense, but we moved. So I believe the next car is the Williams. And honestly, I'm putting that in B tier. Well, it looks identical to the last year's car. However, it ain't fully black. And it's one solid blue. And when you look at it from a side angle, it actually has the Great Britain flag at the back, which I think it had last year, but I didn't really notice. But yeah, I think just adding those details as well is definitely better than the Haas. And I think it might just be better than the Stake, but it definitely ain't good enough to go into the A tier. Now the next car is going to be the V-Carb. That name is so dumb. I think it's the V-Carb. It's the V-Carb or Alpine. We'll start with the V-Carb. And honestly, this might be a hot take. I'm putting it in A. I would put it in S, but unfortunately there is a couple that I want to put in S, and just to balance it out, I'm going to put this in A. I think them returning to the Toro Rosso colour scheme is the absolute best decision they can make, and I heard people say that this white stripe that goes over the nose looks extremely ugly. I think that's one of the car's best bits, so I don't know exactly why. I think it's because out of all the releases, it was the first car that wasn't fully carbon fibre, and the whole car was painted. And I think just because of that and the amount of colour that's going on, I just think it looks better than the other three. And there's that. Now we have the Alpine, and as you can see, just like the Stake and the Haas, it has black in the middle of the nose cone. It's going in B tier, but it is going in the top of B tier. It's very close to getting to A, purely because it ain't just like with a Haas, you see it's just a black nose, and the same with a Stake, it's just a line. There's actually a bit of shape going on, do you know what I mean? And of course there is the pink variant, which I could put on here, but I genuinely couldn't find any images of it. I don't know, I don't know what it is. Just looking at that Alpine, it just looks better than the Haas, the Williams and the Stake. I don't really know why. I can't really pinpoint it to you, but it just does. So there you go. Top of B tier for the Alpine. Now, I don't actually know which car comes next, so I'm just going to completely guess from here. We're going to start with the McLaren, and I'm actually going to put this in A tier. And this is purely because it is just like the Williams, it's just orange and black. and just like the stake, it's green and black. However, the front nose isn't just fully black, it is orange, which means from the front angle, this car does look incredibly nice. And I don't know, I don't know if it was this, I don't actually remember, aren't the numbers chrome on this car? Or am I waffling? But I think the numbers, like the driver numbers, are chrome. If so, yeah, it is A tier, but it's better than the Williams, it's way better than the Haas, it's better than the Stake, and it's marginally better than the Alpine. But it's like, if there was like an A- tier or a B+ tier, it would go in there. It's good, it's too good to go in B, but it ain't quite good enough to go in A. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and I'll just slap him in A, because why not? Right, 4 cars remaining, and we're going to start with the Aston Martin, and this is also going in A tier. They sort of changed the green shade slightly to a more traditional Aston Martin green, and it's just clean and simple, isn't it? Again, it's similar to the Alpine. It goes in A. I can't tell you why. It just looks nice. Alright, there you go. There's nothing really much to say about it. It's just fully green. There it is. Lovely. And now we have the Ferrari, and that is going to be our first S-tier livery of the video. Now, I don't know why this one, the 2024 Ferrari, looks so much better than last year's Ferrari. I don't know why, because from the onset and from the images, they look exactly the same. But looking at this year's Ferrari, it just looks so much better. I think they have a slightly glossier shade of red, and then they've got the yellow and white stripes going down the side, and the driver numbers at the back of the engine cover are actually painted red. Last year's car, that was black, so I think that does help. And the front wing, there's a little bit of red at the bottom, as you can see there. So I don't know why, but this year's Ferrari is absolutely banging, and it is a deserved S-tier livery. Next up is the Mercedes, and I've seen so many people say that this car is ugly. Well, for me, it goes straight into S-tier. I think it goes in S-tier, not only because it looks nice, but they've done something different. And well, not really, but what I mean is that from, well, 2010, 11, 12, basically most of Mercedes' time in F1, they've been silver. Full silver, that's it. Then 2021 and 2020, it's black. Fully black. And then 2022, it was silver. And then 2023, it was black again. I think mixing the two, having the silver front and the black back, and the little red, what's it even called? What's that thing at the top called? Is it the air intake or something? But the little, I really should know what these things are called, but the little, like, red thing above the halo, you know what I'm talking about. It's red. And I think that is a, didn't they used to have that? I don't remember. But anyway, people are saying that sort of doesn't really work with the rest of the car being, like, different shades rather than a colour, like the red mixing with grey, silvers and blacks. But I think it works perfectly. And I think that is the nicest Mercedes livery that they've ever released. And finally, we have the Red Bull Racing 20. And this is a hard C tier. However, above the Haas. Now, the reason that it goes into C is because, yes, the livery is the same, and what people seem to not understand is that Red Bull, pretty much like all the other cars, they aren't going to change. People are saying that the Ferrari, oh, it looks so good. No one's complaining that the Ferrari looks exactly the same from 50 years ago. Because realistically, it's brand recognition. The Ferrari is red, because that's what Ferrari is. You take the sponsors and the rear wing name off of that car, and you know it's a Ferrari. Similar to Red Bull. You take the Red Bull off the front wing, you take this bull bit here, you take this bit off, it's just this, you know it's a Red Bull car. But, like, aside from the fact that the livery is exactly the same, which ain't a complaint because it's supposed to be, it just isn't a nice livery. It's recognisable and it's familiar, but I still think it's a bit shit. However, nothing, in fact, you know what, I hate this so much, I'm putting it there. I hate this with such a passion, it goes into D tier. So there is my final tier list order. I think it's alright. I definitely think we've had a too many liveries with too much carbon fiber on, but we have definitely had some absolute bangers of some liveries. So that's all for today. Let me know what changes you would make to this tier list. Thank you very much for watching. F123 returns soon. See you next time. See you later. Bye bye. Arigato. Gracias. Adios. Auf Wiedersehen. Later.